Assalamualaikum and welcome to this video, where in this video we are going to focus on the limit, which is 0/0 case, but we are going to look at the case where we have to use the conjugate to solve the problem, where I give the basic idea of a conjugate. If you have something like, let's say if you have something like square root x minus 3, so the conjugate will be square root x plus 3. If you have square root x minus square root 6, so the conjugate will be square root x plus square root 6. What if you have an addition? For example, like you have a 6 plus square root y, so the conjugate will be 6 minus square root y. Alright, what if you have an addition in the third? Like for example, you have x plus 2 minus 4. Right, so the conjugate will be changed only at this symbol. So the conjugate will be square root x plus 2 remains as square root x plus 2, but the symbol that is going to change is here. Alright, so we have something like plus 4. Alright, we have like so many terms, like for example, let's say square root x minus 3 plus square root x plus 4. So the one is going to change is only this part. Alright, so we will have something like square root x minus 3 minus square root x plus 4. Alright, so that's basic idea of what conjugate is. Alright, so let's see some questions here. We have 9 questions to be solved here. Alright, so the first one, which is a very basic example of the 0/0 case, which uses the conjugate. Alright, so in this case we have to multiply the conjugate of this part. Alright, so we have to write the conjugate. The conjugate of that part is that, alright, multiply with square root x, so the conjugate will be plus square root 7, right, over, and we have to write the same thing, right, square root x plus square root 7. Right, why can we write this? Because initially they are, both of the denominator are also numerator the same, so we can cancel, so meaning that it is initially is not existing. Right, but now we can add them at that side, so we can multiply with this conjugate. All right, so now what we're gonna do is that we have to expand the one at the part here. All right, so this part only. All right, this part, and the one at the numerator, in this case you don't have to expand. Do not expand. All right, leave it like that. Okay, so later on you will understand why we have to do this. All right. Okay, so we're gonna write first, as usual. We are not substituting the value x equal to 7. We have to write this limit as approaching 7. So copy the one at the numerator. I mean, copy means x minus 7. Please put in bracket, and then I copy the one at the numerator, x square root x plus square root 7. All right, so that one is that the numerator. Now we're going to look at the denominator. So we are going to focus on this part where we have to multiply. All right, so this is the basic of algebra you have to understand. So if you have something like, right, square root x minus square root 7, if you multiply with, right, square root x plus square root 7, all right, so you will have, all right, so you multiply this term first, so you'll have square root x squared, and then you have this one plus square root 7x, and then you have this part. All right, so you have minus square root 7x, so the last term is something like this, minus square root 7 squared. So we know that we are left with the square root x squared minus square root 7 squared, which can be simplified as x minus 7. All right, something like that. So the basic idea, when you have this type of multiplication, we have to simplify this as square root x. All right, you just take this part. All right, if you have one plus and another one is minus, so you have square root x with square root x. So we'll have square root x squared will be simplified as x, and then you put subtract at the middle, and then you have another term which is square root 7 with square root 7. So you will have square root 7 squared. So square root 7 squared is simplified as 7. So will be x minus 7. Right? If you are very slow at this expansion, then you just have to do step by step. But later on, when you do a lot of exercises, you'll see this idea. Right? So when you have this kind of what do we call that? The same term at the numerator and also denominator, you can cancel, right? So you have x minus 7 and also x minus 7. So you're left with this square root x plus square root 7. But, right, have we substituted the value of x with 7? Not yet. So you just have to copy this part where we have to write the limit as x approaching 7. All right. So now we are going to substitute the value of x with 7. So we are substituting here. So we will have the answer as square root 7 plus square root 7. So this is the part where algebra plays an important role. So you have to add this together. So you'll have 2 square root 7. If you can't see this, okay, let's say you have, right, x plus x, so will be simplified as 2x. D plus D will have 2D. All right. Girl plus another girl will have 2 girls. Right. What about square root x plus square root x? Of course, we will have 2 square root x. And also this square root 7 plus square root 7 will be simplified as 2 square root 7. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's have a look at the second example. Here we have to try to substitute the value of x with 5 first. So if you try to substitute the value of x here, you'll get 25 plus 11 and get 36. Square root 36 is 6 minus 6. So in this case, this is actually 0 over 0 case. So to solve this problem, all right, so you have to use the conjugate. So you have to multiply with the conjugate of this what we call numerator. So in this case, the conjugate is given by, all right, square root of x squared plus 11. So because it is minus and it will have plus here, you have plus 6. So over the same thing, the same term here, right? So square root of x squared plus 11 plus 6. All right, so next you're going to expand the numerator, all right, not the denominator. So in this case, you'll have to multiply this one with this one, all right, and then you'll have to multiply this with this. Okay, so you'll have something like, all right, so I'm writing, all right, this is limit as x approaching 5 because we have not substituted the value of x with 5 yet, so you'll have to write this. So we'll have something like, all right, square root of that square, so you'll have, you're left with, all right, all right, it's okay, I'm writing that one. All right, so you'll have something like square root of x squared plus 11 square because you're multiplying these two. Okay, and then you will have minus in the middle, and then 6 multiplied by 6, you'll get 36. All right, so that one is minus 36. So at the denominator, you just copy everything without expanding it. All right, so this will be something like this: square root of x squared plus 11 and then plus 6. All right, so now we're going to simplify the one at the denominator. In this case, we have not substituted the value of x with 5, so we have to write this limit as x approaching 5. So we will have something like, all right, square root of, all right, that one is square root is lost there because there is no more square root because that square root together with the square, so we are just left with the x squared plus 11 minus 36. So at the denominator, you don't have to be lazy, you have to be copying this again, right? All right, so this will be x squared plus 11 minus plus 6. All right, so this is what you have now. So you have to simplify the denominator. So pressing your calculator, so you will get limit of x approaching 5, which is given by, all right, so this term now is simplified to be x squared minus 25. All right, so the whole thing over x minus 5. So this whole thing you have to copy again and again. Up to one point, you can simplify it. Right, so please take note that this part, x squared minus 25, can be simplified as, all right, so x squared minus 25, you can write this, right, so you may write this x squared minus 5 squared. This is actually x plus 5, x minus 5. All right, so you can factorize from that to this. All right, so you can write it in that form now. So you still have that limit as x approaching 5. So you don't have, you can't forget this limit as approaching 5 because we have not substituted the value of x with 5. So we'll have x plus 5, x minus 5 at the numerator. All right, so in the denominator we have to copy it again. All right, so we'll have something like x squared plus 11 plus 6. Right now, please take note that we have the same term at the denominator and also the numerator. So we'll have x minus 5 and x minus 5, so we can cancel it. Right, so we will write it as, all right, limit as x approaching 5. So we'll have the one at the numerator, we'll get x plus 5. At the denominator, square root of x squared plus 11 plus 6. Okay, so we do have something like this. So what we need to do is actually we'll have to simplify the what do we call we try to substitute the value of x with 5. So if you try to substitute the value of x with 5, so we'll have something like, all right, so substituting the value of x with 5, so 5 plus 5 over, right, that one, square root of 5 squared plus 11, all right, plus 6. So we'll have something like 10 over, all right, that's square root of 25 plus 11, will get 36. So square root of 36 is actually 6. So 6 plus 6, you'll get 10 over 12. So 10 over 12 is given by 5 over 6. So that is your final answer for this one. Instead of 0 over 0k, so you'll get 5 over 6 as the value of the limit as it's approaching the value of 5. Right, next one, we have this type of function. If you try to substitute the value of x with 1, so you'll get 0 over 0 case. So what you're going to do is actually you have to multiply with the conjugate. In this case, all right, previously in my video of the fraction solving this 0 over 0 case using the factorization, you can also solve this using factorization. But now you can use the conjugate, all right? So where the conjugate is the part at the denominator, all right, so square root x plus 1, that's the conjugate. So you have to write the same thing at the numerator, square root x plus 1. And remember, we have to expand or simplify the one at the denominator in this case, all right? Depends, all right? So this one multiply with this one, and 1 multiply with 1, all right? So we have not substituted the value of x with 1 yet. So you write limit as x approaching 1. So now the what do we call that? Numerator, you don't do anything. X minus 1 in the bracket, square root x plus 1 in your bracket. Right, so now what you have to do is to expand the one at the what do we call that? Denominator. All right. So you have square root x multiplied by square root x squared. So you get x minus 1 multiplied by 1, we get minus 1. So look at your numerator and also denominator. Now we have the same term here, so you can cancel them out. So we are left with the term where you have the limit as x approaching 1. So the term that is left is actually square root x plus 1. All right, so now you're gonna substitute the value of x with 1. So in this case, all right, so x with 1, you substitute there. So you will have square root 1 plus 1. Square root 1 is actually 1. 1 plus 1 will be 2. So that's the final answer for this question. All right, so we're done with number 3. All right, let's move to number 4. All right, so we have this limit as x approaching 3 for this type of function. So look at your denominator and also numerator. So which part should be multiplied with the conjugate? So that actually the numerator. In this case, the conjugate of the numerator will be 3 plus square root 12 minus x. But before that, why we do have to do this, because if you try to substitute the value of x with 3, so it will be 0 over 0 case. Then that will be a very big problem. As I said, if you have 0 over 0 case, so you have to use either factorization or conjugate or squeezing theorem, which you will be learning later. Alright, so now you have 3 plus square root 12 minus x. So same thing at the denominator, also numerator. So you have this part. So again, in this case, you have to multiply, you have to expand the one at the numerator in this case, right? That one multiply with that one, and that one multiply with that one. And in this case, at the denominator, you don't have to expand, you just need to copy them, put them in bracket. Square root x, x approaching 3, right? The first part here, all right? So, and this is the second part. So the first part, 3 multiplied by 3, you will get 9 minus square root 12 minus x multiplied by square root 12 minus x will be 12 minus x itself. All right, if you can't see that, then I'll write here. All right, if you have square root 12 minus x multiplied by square root 12 minus x, this will be simplified as square root 12 minus x squared. So this is simplified as 12 minus x. All right, but be careful because we have this subtraction there. So the common mistake that students make is that they don't put the bracket there, 12 minus x. All right, because we have to subtract the whole thing in that bracket actually. So be careful, put them in a bracket. All right, so the one at the denominator, you just copy them. All right, x squared minus 9 and 3 plus square root 12 minus x. All right, okay, you have something like this. And then you have to simplify the one at the numerator in this case. All right, so we have not substituted the value of x is 3, so just copy them. All right, so 9 minus 12, so 9 minus 12, or if you want to solve one by one, then never mind, I'll just expand that. All right, so 12 minus x, that will be plus 9 minus 12 plus x. All right, so the one at the denominator, you just copy them without doing anything. All right, you don't have to expand them. Right, you're looking for trouble if you expand them, right? So 9 minus 12 will be negative 3, so it's actually x minus 3 in that case, right? So we'll have, all right, in this case, limit as x approaching 3 of this part will be x minus 3. All right, again, I'm copying this one. You know, being a mathematician is very patient. You have to be very patient. If not, you can't solve this, you can't copy one by one, right? All right, so you have this term. If you try to substitute the value of x with 3, then it will be 0 over 0 case. So recall, you have multiplied with the conjugate, but now you have to use factorization. Why? Because this part here, all right, this part I'm highlighting, you still have to factorize that one. X squared minus 9 will be, all right, I'll write it here. X squared minus 9 will be factorized as x squared minus 3 squared. So this will become x plus 3, x minus 3. All right, so we have, okay, oh my god, limit as x approaching 3. All right, so x minus 3 at the numerator. Now at the denominator, x squared minus 9 will be x plus 3, x minus 3, and the whole thing 3 plus. Okay, so you are solving this one. So you can see that we have the same term at the numerator and also denominator, so you can cancel them out. All right, so something like this. So when you cancel, be careful, you have 1 there, because most of the students they left the term 1 there. All right, so limit as approaching 3 of 1, or sorry, I'm gonna use black color, 1 over, all right, the whole thing here, x plus 3, that one is 3 plus square root 12 minus what do we call that, x. We have not substituted yet. All right, now we're going to substitute the value of x with 3, so we don't have to write the limit anymore. So we're going to have something like 1 over 3 plus 3. All right, and that one will be 3 plus square root 12 minus 3. All right, so this is actually 1 over, all right, 3 plus 3 will be 6, and that one will be 3 plus square root 12 minus 2 will be 9. Square root 9 will be 3. So 3 plus 3 is still 6 there. So 1 over 6 multiplied by 6. So this is actually 1 over 36. Right? Okay. So that's your final answer. That's very long, but you have to be patient in solving this. Inshallah, you can find the solution. Alright, so let's go to number 5. Alright, if you have this type of function, so what you have to do is still you have to, okay, firstly try to substitute the value of x with 4, and then we'll get 0 over 0 case. Alright, but now we are gonna multiply with the conjugate. So the conjugate in this case is actually square root x plus 6. We have plus in the middle. Alright, 2x plus 2. Alright, over the whole thing we have to copy them out. Alright, so 2x plus 2. Right, so what we're gonna do is that we have to multiply, or we have to simplify the denominator. In this case, this one multiplied by this one, and this one multiplied by with this one. All right, so we have not substituted the value of x with 4, so limit as x approaching 4 is written there. So we have to write kind of x minus 4 in the bracket, and that one, right? Remember, in this case, the one that is not being conjugated shouldn't be expanded, right? Just copy them in the bracket. All right, so now at the denominator we are left with, all right, so I'm gonna call this one the first part and this one the second part. So the first part will be square root x plus 6 multiplied by square root plus 6, so we'll have x plus 6. And then the second part will be, okay, minus in the middle, and please put everything in the bracket. So square root 2x plus 2 multiplied by square root 2x plus 2 will have 2x plus 2. All right, so we have something like this. So you have to expand. All right, so we are gonna have a limit as x approaching 4. All right, so you have, all right, you just copy the whole thing at the numerator. All right, square root x plus 6 plus 2x, square root 2x plus 2. All right, so you're gonna have, all right, that one will be x plus 6 minus 2x minus 2. All right, so that one will be simplified as either negative x plus 4. Right, so still you have to copy this as limit as x approaching 4. So you will have, all right, the whole thing is copied. Right, don't be lazy, you just have to be a hardworking student, copying this same thing again over again. All right, now you're gonna have, all right, since you're gonna have this part will be actually written as, all right, negative x plus 4, but negative x plus 4, this part we are gonna try to cancel with that part, but that one is negative x plus 4. We have to factorize the, what do we call that, the negative out. Factorize the negative out will be, all right, so let's say I'm gonna write something like this. All right, this one will be negative x plus 4. I want to factorize it, right, to factorize the negative part. So this one will be negative x minus 4. Okay, we have to write it like that so that we can cancel this part. All right, so leaving with negative 1 at the denominator. So now we have this limit as x approaching 4. Right, so this part will be square root x plus 6 plus square root of 2x plus 2 over the whole thing will be negative 1. So now we want to substitute the value of x with 4. So in this case we don't have the limit as x approaching 4 anymore, so we have square root 4 plus 6 plus what do we call that, 2 square root 4 plus 2. All right, so the whole thing over negative 1. So this will be square root 10 plus square root 10 over negative 1. So this can be simplified as square root 10 plus square root 10 will be 2 square root 10 over negative 1. So 2 divided by negative 1 will be negative 2. So this will be simplified as negative 2 square root 10. Alright, this is all algebra. This is not calculus. The calculus part where we have to substitute the limit and so on. But the one that is simplifying the conjugate, simplifying the term, is actually algebra. So if you think you are very weak at algebra, so you go back and look at some algebra exercises. Right now we have this limit as t approaching 0 of this part. So again, if you try to substitute with t with 0, so you'll have 0 over 0 case. So now you have to multiply with the conjugate because we cannot factorize anything here. So in this case, the conjugate will be 3t plus 9 plus 3, and we have square root of 3t plus 9 plus 3. Alright, so now we have, alright, limit as t approaching 0, limit as t approaching 0 of that part will be written as in bracket, alright, as I said, square root of 3t plus 9 plus 3. Alright, so what we're going to do is actually multiply this part to simplify them. Alright, so multiply this part. So this is the first part and this is the second part. So the first part will be simplified as square root 3t plus 9 square will be 3t plus 9 minus at the middle 3 multiplied by 3 will be 9. So now you have, alright, I'm gonna write in, alright, something like this, limit as t approaching 0. So the one at the denominator, again and again, copy and copy, right, without changing anything, right? You don't have to change anything. But the one at the denominator, in this case, you have to simplify. 3t plus 9 minus 9 will be left with 3t only. Alright, so now look at t and t at the denominator and also numerator. You can cancel them out. Okay, so you will have something like this. Okay, limit as t approaching 0. So you will have square root of 3t plus 9 plus 3 over 3. So now we want to substitute the value of t with 0. So this part will be 0. So we will have something like square root of 3 multiplied by 0 plus 9 plus 3 over 3. So this will be simplified as square root 9 plus 3 over 3. Square root 9 will be 3 plus 3 over 3. So 6 over 3 will be, your final answer is 2. Alright, so we are done with question number 6 here. Alright, let's look at number 7. Right, this is very complicated as you have like 3 layers of diffraction, alright, something like that. So actually you can do this by taking out the term 1 over x. Alright, so how are we going to write this? So firstly we have to simplify this as, not simplify, you just have to modify a little bit. This one as 1 over x of the whole thing there. So this will be square root of square root 16 plus x minus 1 over 4. If you try to substitute the value of x with 0, so you will have 0 over 0 case actually. Right, so you're gonna solve this one. It's very easy actually. You just have to do some kind of simplification, the one of the term in the bracket first. So we're gonna simplify this square root x as limit as approaching 0 of 1 over x. So this will be, you have to cross multiply, alright, this one multiply with this one, this one multiply with this one. So that one will be 4 minus square root 16 plus x over 4 square root 16 plus x. Alright, okay, so we have this part here. Right, so what you're going to do that is that you have to multiply with the conjugate of this part. I'm going to highlight this one. Alright, we have to write the conjugate, so multiply with the conjugate. So the conjugate will be 4 plus square root 16 plus x, and the denominator should be written as the same thing. All right, so it's 4 plus square root 16 plus x. All right, so the one that you're gonna simplify is this part only. All right, I'm highlighting in yellow color. Right, that part only you have to simplify. The rest you just copy, put them in the bracket. All right, so we're gonna have something like this. Remember, we have not substituted the value of x with 0, so limit as approaching 0 should be written there. 1 over x. All right, we're gonna expand this one, so this should be multiplied with this one. All right, this is the first part, and the second part, this one should be multiplied with that one, so that one is the second part. All right, so we will have something like, all right, this one is actually multiplied. 4 multiplied by 4 will be 16 minus the whole thing in the bracket. Please put in bracket. Square root 16 plus x multiplied by square root 16 plus x will be square root 16 plus x square. So when square with square will be left out, so you just have 16 plus x. Okay, this is very, very challenging, but we're gonna solve this. Don't worry, do it slowly. All right, 4 square root 16 plus x. All right, and this part will be written here. All right, so please put in bracket 4 plus what do we call that, square root 16 plus x. Okay, all right, so when you simplify this, so you will be having this term. All right, so let's say, okay, limit as x approaching 0 of 1 over x multiply with, all right, 16 minus 16 is 0, minus x, so you'll have negative x there. This one you should have, all right, let's say I put it in bracket 4 square root 16 plus x, 4 plus square root 16 plus x. All right, so please take note that we can actually cancel the x out, because we have the term x with x at the numerator, also the numerator, so we can cancel, leaving with negative 1 there. All right, so since we have not substituted the value of x as 0, we have to write this limit as approaching 0, so you have that negative 1 over, okay, so we're gonna have this part where we have square root 4, sorry, 4 square root 16 plus x. So you have this term 4 plus square root 16 plus x, right? So you have to substitute the value of f0, so this part will be 0, this part also will be 0. All right, so you will have, all right, negative 1 at the what do we call that, numerator, negative 1. That will be 0. So when x is 0, 4 multiplied by square root 16. So 4 multiplied by square root 16, right? And then multiply with 4 plus square root 16, right? Because x is 0. So you can simplify this, right? So negative 1, 4 multiplied by square root 16 is 4. So 4 multiplied by 4 will be 16. Bracket 4 plus 4. Right, so negative 1, so you have 16 multiplied by 16. So you can use your calculator, because I don't have my calculator now, so you just press your calculator. So negative 1 over 16 multiplied by 16, so you get the final answer. All right, I just write 16 square here. All right, so the last one, that one that we're gonna have this part where if you try to substitute the value of x with 4, so you'll have 0 over 0 case. So you have to do a modification a little bit, right? So this is like kind of 3-layer, right? So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm trying to do the cross multiplication. This is 1 over 1, all right? So cross multiply that. So we will have something like, all right, so you have limit as x approaching 4 of x minus 4 over x. Okay, you have something like that, but don't remember the one at the denominator, square root x minus 2. And please take note that this can be written as limit as x approaching 4. Alright, so you have, like, say, x minus 4 over x, and then you multiply with 1 over square root x minus 2. So the one that you're going to multiply with the conjugate is this part only. So the conjugate will be multiplied with square root x plus 2, square root x plus 2. Okay, so you have this. Now we are gonna expand this part only. Alright, please take note that this part only should be expanded. Alright, so remember again, alright, the same thing I'm gonna do. This one multiply as the first part, and this one will be multiplied as the second part, and we have subtraction in the middle. So the rest will be copied because we are not doing anything there. So x minus 4 over x, so you will have, alright, multiply with square root x plus 2, you can put in bracket. That one, okay, the first part we are going to expand is this one. Alright, square root x multiplied by square root x, you will have x minus in the middle, 2 multiplied by 2, you get 4. Alright, so take note that we have x minus 4 here. You can cancel them out. So you're just left with this limit as x approaching 4 of square root x plus 2 over x. So you try to substitute the value of x with 4. So we are no more, we don't have this this term anymore in the next step, because we substitute the value of x with 4. So square root 4 plus 2 over 4. So this would be 2 plus 2 over 4. This is actually 4 over 4, and the final answer would be 1. So that's the end of this conjugate. So I give you 8 examples here, so I hope you can catch up with the method of solving the 0 over 0 case of limit using the conjugate. So the next part that you're going to look is actually, alright, so the part we're going to look in the next section is actually squeezing theorem, where we have a specific theorem. We're going to use this theorem in solving the 0 over 0 case of the limit. Thank you for watching.